If you're someone who is currently looking for work and you're already ticking off everything we've covered in previous videos in terms of putting together a great CV, a cover letter, you've got some scripts to hand for when you get a chance to speak with employers, you know the ideal job, you're out there finding employers who could hire you for that job, you're out there pitching yourself to other employers, you're doing all of that great stuff, but you're still relying on job boards for understandably keeping an eye on the market just in case something great pops up, then this video is for you. My name's Jacob and I help people improve their work life, and I'm here again sitting in a dimly lit room after 10 p.m. at night putting together this video with the hope that it can help just one person in their search for work so it can improve their life, the prospects of their family and their future as a whole. I've also been working in recruitment and employment services for over 8 years and I've placed to date over 3,000 jobs. Now, only a fraction of that, I would say, have actually come through the advertised, quote unquote, advertised typical job market. But having used those on a daily basis and having uploaded jobs myself there as a previous employer, I know a little bit about how they work, and I'd like to share those with you so that if you are relying on them to find your next job, at least you're maximizing what you're seeing on there so that if the right job comes through, you'll be first in the queue. Okay, I'm going to be using a kind of 2-camera setup here. So the camera's up here, but I'm actually going to be working on my laptop here to record over my screen and let you know what I'm doing. The first bit of advice I have for you is to set up a separate email address for your job searching. 9 times out of 10, you'll have some kind of email address that's not that professional looking anyway, so this is probably good practice anyway to put your full name or something that you're happy to have in front of employers together in terms of an email address. And the reason I actually advise you to get a new email address is because we're going to set up some keyword saved searches, which means your inbox is going to get flooded with jobs that are supposedly relevant for you. And just to stop the overwhelm of you seeing that in your usual inboxes, it's a good idea to have this separate one that you're using just for jobs. Next, I strongly recommend setting up profiles on the big job boards, so the Seek, Indeed, and LinkedIn jobs of the world. I'd also really recommend setting yourself up on 2 to 3 trade-specific job boards if that is even relevant to your niche, and just a quick Google search of that should give you everything you need for that. So in total, 5 to 6 job boards we're going to be signing up to make sure that we're covering everything. This doesn't include using things like social media for Facebook community pages if you're looking for those very local jobs, or doesn't even include using Google as a really powerful search engine to simply type in your ideal job, location, and see what pops up. Sometimes all of the filters and the searches on websites like Seek don't pull up everything that you'd like to see, but a simple Google search of exactly what you want to do and where could be your golden ticket to finding the best job. Okay, I'm going to turn my focus from up here down to my laptop, and I'm currently using Seek, and we're going to dive into the job search area here, set ourselves up with some alerts, play with some keywords, and see what we can do. So if you've used this website a few times, it'll start to recommend jobs, and my most recommended job at the moment is an employment consultant. Who'd have thought? I'm going to use a random example again. I don't know why I always turn to forklift driving. I think part of the reason for that is because in my first job, I was a dispatch operative, which sounds very fancy. I basically used to run around a factory, picking and packing boxes, loading them on pallets, wrapping them around in cellophane, using a pump truck, getting them onto a lorry, and then sending the lorry away and doing the stock take sheet. When the forklift guys came in, they were like the gods because they could do everything that we essentially did, but using a machine, and none of us were even allowed within kind of 3 meters squared of the forklift. So I think that's why I always turn to this example, but that's a complete tangent. Let's dive into some keywords here. So if you're looking for a forklift job, the obvious thing to do here is to search forklift or forklift driver. So when you click into that, let's pretend that we're in Sydney. You're going to come up with hundreds of forklift jobs. Now, this is probably obviously your bread and butter. This is where you'll likely find a relevant job as a forklift driver in Sydney. And you can use this little function here to save the search. So you not only get the emails through, but it'll also populate your homepage with recommended jobs. Now, a lot of people will actually just stop here, and not finding the right job here, they will think the right job is simply not out there for them. However, there's loads and loads of stuff that we can do with this search and the where, the location basis to find different niches of jobs that may not have been advertised by the way you're searching. So one way to think about that is to think about different aspects of forklift driving. So think about the area that a forklift driver works. So they work in a warehouse. So simply switching the search to warehouse or warehouse operative is going to start giving you jobs where, even if forklift driving isn't in the main title, it may be in the body of the ad, it may be what the actual ad is referring to when it's been advertised, and we can find the job in there. So for example, this one here, very likely to need a forklift license. You probably get paid more doing this job if you're a forklift driver. That's not a bad example at all. The next one, so what could a forklift also be known as? So this might be a UK thing, but obviously I'm in Australia at the minute. So in the UK, a forklift could be referred to as a lift truck. This might not give us what we need in Australia, but in other parts of the world, it might do. So I thought about the actual thing, thought about where the thing that you do is based, warehouse. What's another word for the thing that you do? What's a fancy way of saying it? So goods handler. This again might be a UK thing, but this could be something else entirely. So for example, here we go. So this job hadn't popped up before, or not just in the little scroll that I did here. So this is a freight handler at the Bankstown Aerodrome by the looks of it, and they're hiring for casual forklift drivers, which is not in the title. It's not in the main body. It's not in the main bullet points. It's down in the further text there. So that may have been a job that you've just found just by tinkering there with the keywords. What's something else? So what's the thing? What's another name for the thing? Where's it based? What's a fancy way of saying this? What's another fancy way of saying what a forklift driver does? So forklift drivers look after stock and they rotate the stock with their forklift driving. So again, we're keeping the same place, but we're just looking at different keywords here. So stock rotation could be, I mean, this could bring up some wildly different jobs here, but there might just be some brilliant forklift jobs in here that have been marked up in a little bit of a fancier way than just simply writing forklift driver. Okay, the next thing we could look at is what is the license, ticket, or certificate needed to do the thing that you're looking for. So in Australia, I believe the correct license would be a high-risk work license. So typing in that may bring out some different jobs. I didn't test this beforehand, so it might not be. I can't see anything here that's screaming out to me that it's a forklift job. However, this has brought up a really important point here. So searching for the qualification that you may have as a forklift driver and then just skimming through the jobs here. From the look of the other pages, the jobs advertised for forklift drivers were kind of between $33 and $42 an hour, something like that. But then we start to look at jobs like this, where this could well have been, or someone who does this position could well have started as a forklift driver, or that could have been their previous job. Based on the experience, based on the license they had, they're now working for a company doing return to work advice, which from the looks of it, I think is paying about a third more through the year as an annual salary than a forklift driver would. So that again just brings up different ideas, which is why job searching in this is, although I bash it a lot of the time, why it can be valuable, because you can kind of see the progression from where you are at the minute with everything that comes along with what you're doing at the minute. Okay, next thing we can play with is the location settings. So this again might be a little bit of an obvious one, but you'd be surprised how many people overlook this aspect of it. It's so easy just to search for your next job as a forklift driver in Sydney because I'm based in Sydney. However, let's go a little bit deeper than that. So I am in Sydney, so geography is pretty good in Sydney. Let's pick a suburb in Sydney, for example, Parramatta out in Western Sydney. It's a big old suburb out west. If you are in Parramatta and we're just searching Sydney because that's the overarching city, you may have missed all of these great jobs here. Next thing to do, because Parramatta might not be specifically listed in the ad, we could just use the postcode. So just by using the postcode rather than the actual word Parramatta, may bring up some additional searches that we hadn't looked at before. Another thing you could try is to leave the location settings completely blank, and in the actual body of the keywords, search Parramatta forklift driver, and this might just bring up something that is local that for whatever reason the employer hadn't specifically listed the location on those drop down settings, but it may be in the body of the ad. So it might just bring up a couple more options for you with that. And probably the last thing that you can do with websites like this is to search in the classification section here. So for forklift driving, for example, you're probably looking in the manufacturing section. I'm not going to go down this whole list, but you find something that's, oh, there we go. Maybe machine operators would be relevant to forklift driving. You could click into that. You could then play with your keywords, add in forklift, add in all of the keywords that we talked about before, play with the location settings, Sydney, Parramatta, postcode, hit seek, and see what pops up that you might not have seen before. The thing to keep in mind with websites like Seek is that people actually pay to host the ads on there. And to my knowledge, it's about $900 or $950 in Australia, which is quite a high amount. So from Seek's perspective, it wants to put relevant jobs in front of people so that employers hire the right people. So they use Seek again. So there is quite a lot going on behind. There's probably AI plugged in at this point as well. So they're going to try and show you all of the relevant jobs as best they can. However, on the off chance, or if an employer has popped that advert in a rush, or not specifically knowing the area, if they've advertised the job on behalf of another branch and they're based centrally in another city, these jobs can be overlooked, and it may then be the fact that you found this job that fits your niche really, really well. And rather than typing in forklift and getting this one where they need 30, they're probably going to have 1,000 people apply. If you found that one that was a little bit more hidden than the rest, maybe only 5 or 10 people would apply, which immediately increase your chances of getting a great job if that fits your bill. That's just something else to keep in mind with these kind of websites. But I must say at this point, please don't be what I'd call a slave to these kind of job boards. So often I've seen people get up first thing in the morning, jump onto the job board, see what's refreshed overnight, scroll, 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 do the same at lunchtime, do the same when they're in bed at night, scrolling, 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 and you just get swamped. Your mind just starts to swirl with all of the jobs advertised. You don't know what's good, what's not. You don't know what's a real job, what's not. You don't know what's from a recruitment company, what's not. It gets really confusing, really overwhelming, not to mention all of the jobs that you're going to get sent through to your inbox, which is just going to bombard your senses in so many ways. My advice is to jump on, do the searches as we are. You can even filter by newest. There's even a button here, new to you. It's going to show 99 jobs here that you've not seen before. Jump on, have a quick scroll, see if there's anything great that's been advertised, and then move on to the bread and butter, which is getting your CV in front of people that matter and in front of people who you actually want to work for, as an aside from these kind of job searches. We'll touch on this in future videos, and we have done in previous videos, but please do more around the actual online application itself. I see it so often that people just apply online and then they wait behind their laptop for a response that, quite frankly, may never come. Please do yourself a favor and contact the employer before you even send the application. Make sure they know who you are. Make sure they know that your application is going to be awesome, so they look out for it, and make sure they know you're the perfect person for the job before you even apply. As soon as you've hit send, make contact with the employer to make sure that they've received the application. Make sure within the mountains of emails and applications that they may have, that yours is in there and somebody has actually looked at it. After that, try and get hold of the actual hiring manager or person responsible for the decision of hiring this position and have a chat with them. Ideally, try and get them on the phone or get in front of them as best you can. And that can form part or the actual interview that you then go on to secure the position. And then all of the steps after that with the interview will take care of itself. As usual, another video is going to pop up over one of my shoulders. I hope it's as good as this one. I hope it's one of mine. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck with your job search.